In the huge mansion of a super successful businessman, his 5 daughters and 2 sons don't exactly get along, but everything takes a turn when he drops a truth bomb that completely changes how they see and treat each other. The scene opens in a luxurious mansion where this peculiar family lives, a businessman and his 7 children. All of them are rich, good-looking, successful, and with personalities so intense they feel straight out of an anime. In the dining room, the 2 brothers are chatting. Arata, 16 years old, asks his brother Shion how to get a girlfriend. Shion, glued to his phone, barely looks up and replies with something like, "How should I know?" Arata keeps pushing. He wants to know how Shion's relationship with Yu started. Shion, a bit annoyed, says it just happened. There's no formula. Then he flips the question and asks what happened with that girl Arata was flirting with. Arata says he only told her she was really pretty. Totally innocent stuff. Shion tells him that's not gonna get him anywhere. He needs to step up his game, and he reminds him that being the son of a millionaire and the main character in an anime, he could have anyone he wants. But Arata, ever the romantic, is holding out for his soulmate or something like that. At that moment, the sisters arrive, the waifu squad. Uka interrupts them, saying they're making the family look bad. Seiha, with totally made-up stats, claims that guys spend 90% of their time talking about girls. The other 3 sisters also throw in some comments, more out of obligation than anything meaningful. Uka accuses Arata of trying to get dirty details out of Shion about his relationship with Yu, and Shion, just to mess with him, confirms it and adds that his girlfriend's looking hotter than ever. Fed up, Uka calls her dog and orders it to bite off whatever needs to be bitten off for being a perv around his sisters. Arata tries to defend himself, but Seiha brings up what happened with Kotono, the youngest one. Banri, the eldest, asks them to be more understanding with the little perv, since he's right in the middle of puberty. But Uka snaps back that it's that kind of thinking that made him turn out like this in the first place. Banri says Arata's behavior is understandable, considering he's surrounded by stunning waifus all day. But Seiha, clearly not amused, reminds her that waifus or not, they're still his sisters. So, yeah, that's super shady. Minami jumps in saying she thinks her brother is awesome. Arata, happy about the compliment, walks over to thank her, and she knocks him to the ground with a clean right hook. Then she apologizes, saying it was just a reflex, typical of a born athlete like her. After the little incident, they all get organized to celebrate Kotono's birthday on Saturday. With that settled, they head off to school. Even though they've got more money than common sense, they still take the subway. So humble, right? As they walk, people stare at them like they're a boy band straight out of a magazine. Arata's annoyed by the attention, like they're living in some kind of romantic comedy. And honestly, maybe they are. Here's a quick rundown of the waifus, so you don't get lost. Banri, the oldest at 18, goes to a top university but is studying nursing. Seiha, 17, in her last year of high school, is the brainiac of the group. Uka, 16, second year of high school, is the most popular. Minami, 15, first year, is all muscle and energy. And finally, Kotono, 14, a middle schooler, your classic shy, quiet, and adorable type. Back to Kotono, Shion asks Arata if she actually confessed her feelings to him. Arata, a little uncomfortable, admits she did, but says he's not messed up enough to return her feelings. Besides, he already has someone else in mind, and since she's not family, that's a major plus. Shion tells him that even though Arata has all the potential to win over any girl, his childhood traumas turned him into a total slacker when it comes to romance. Later, at home, Arata's obsessively stalking the profile of Lala, the girl he likes, but fears got such a grip on him that he can't even send her a friend request. Just then, Uka walks in and asks him to hand over the homework. They sit down to study together, but Arata can't help but sneak a few glances at her. Embarrassed, he finally blurts out that maybe she should cover up a little more. Uka reminds Arata that when they were kids, they used to bathe together, so there's no reason for him to act weird now. Then, straight up, she asks who the girl he likes is, saying Shion already spilled that he's super into someone. She pushes him to spill it, saying twins should support each other with this kind of stuff. Arata tries to resist, but ends up admitting he told Lala she was pretty. Uka, all excited, says she knows Lala and can totally hook him up with a date, but Arata stops her, saying he doesn't want her help. So Uka reminds him that he's their dad's heir and should at least try harder for his sake. But Arata stands firm and says he'll do it his way, which basically means staring at her from a distance for days until she feels so uncomfortable that she finally notices him. Uka, fed up, snaps, "Oh well, screw you then. I try to help like a decent person and you act like an idiot. Fine, stay there, alone, virgin, and crying. Bye, loser." Meanwhile, in Kotono's room, she's looking at a photo of her siblings, but the way she's staring at Arata doesn't exactly scream sisterly love. Then Arata goes full philosopher mode and starts rambling about fate, how everything's already written, even who your siblings and soulmate are, or something like that. Honestly, I kinda zoned out. Saturday comes, and everyone gets ready to celebrate Kotono's birthday. They head down to the dining room while Arata keeps monologuing in his head. But this time, I seriously didn't catch a word. Probably nothing important anyway. What is important is the sister drama. Minami returns the earbuds Uka lent her, but one's missing. Uka gets mad and is like, "Come on, what am I supposed to do with just one?" Especially since she only lent them because Minami lost hers, which honestly should have been a red flag from the start. Arata, seeing the spotlight slipping away, steps in with a peace speech. "We're siblings, we shouldn't be fighting." And right then, their dad shows up for dinner. Before the toast, he says he's got an important announcement. Now that Kotono's turned 15, it's time to tell them the truth. They're not actually siblings. They can pair off with each other if they want. Party time. Arata, completely stunned, asks what the hell he's talking about. Dad explains that they're all adopted, that they're old enough now to understand, and that he promised his late wife he'd reveal the truth once the youngest turned 15. Although Shion and Minami are twins, he clarifies that the rest have no blood ties at all. He says he gets that they're all freaked out, but from now on, he'll be totally honest and answer any questions they have. And with that out of the way, time to celebrate. Yep, just like that. The maids start serving dinner while everyone's still in "what the hell just happened" mode. They probably sang happy birthday with the emotional energy of a collective trauma session. But sadly, we don't get to see that. They finish dinner and head to the living room for tea together. Banri tells the maid to leave, saying she'll take over now because there are some serious family matters to discuss. The only one who ate well was Minami, but that's just how she is. Food is her thing. Banri comments that the girl must have inherited her dad's positivity, to which Seiha replies that it has nothing to do with genetics. And even if it did, she's not even his biological daughter. Oops, Uka chimes in, saying their dad picked the worst possible moment to drop the bomb. And yeah, at least he could have waited until they cut the cake. But Seiha counters, saying there was no other option, that he'd promised their late mother, and it was now or never. Uka gets it, but still feels betrayed. She's hurt that they kept something so important from them for so long. Then Seiha asks Banri if she doesn't remember something strange, like how when Kotono came to the house, she was already about 4 years old. Banri pauses, thinking, and says she doesn't even remember what she had for breakfast today. But her siblings look at her with that "don't lie, spill the tea" expression. She insists it doesn't matter, that the important thing is that they grew up together, and even though they don't share blood, they're still siblings. So, no weird stuff between you guys. Everyone agrees with that. Everyone except Kotono, who's totally into her big brother. Arata heads to his room and starts reflecting on everything that just happened, just in case the viewer went to the bathroom or got distracted by their phone and missed some key detail for the family drama. Speaking of bathrooms, Arata realizes he still hasn't had a bath scene with any of his sisters. And, well, it's about time, right? So, he heads straight to the bathroom. When he arrives, he sees his sister's underwear in the laundry basket, and for the first time in his life, he feels more disturbed than usual by it. Yesterday, it didn't seem like a big deal, but today they're no longer blood relatives, and that changes the rules of the game. Still, Arata repeats to himself that they are his family, and that he won't give in to temptation. He takes off his clothes and steps into the tub, and, oh surprise, someone is already inside. And to make it even more disturbing, it turns out to be Kotono, the only one of the sisters more than willing for things to get weird. Arata reacts as if he's seen the ring girl. He screams, covers himself with the towel, and tries to rush out while apologizing 1,000 times. But Kotono calmly stops him and tells him to wash her back, like he always does. That sounds creepier than it should. Arata, still in shock, agrees. He sits behind her and begins scrubbing her back while telling himself that he's done this 1,000 times and shouldn't think dirty thoughts. Kotono, totally relaxed, tells him she likes how he scrubs her back and that she can't wash it herself because she's not very flexible. Arata tries to mentally survive the scene and tells her to hurry, to stay warm, or she'll catch a cold. Meanwhile, downstairs in the dining room, Uka continues sipping her tea. There's never enough tea when your dad just told you you're not his daughter and that you can marry your siblings. Shion approaches to talk, and Uka comments that she feels bad for Kotono. Finding out something so huge right on her birthday and so close to the entrance exams, it's not cool. Shion responds that everything will be fine, that grades won't be an issue, but Uka isn't so sure. As the youngest, she feels everyone should take better care of her. She also asks Shion what he thinks about the whole mess. He shrugs and says it all happened so suddenly that he's still processing it. Uka, with a somewhat vulnerable tone, asks if he knows what Arata thinks about all of this. Shion, somewhat intrigued, asks if she really cares. Uka becomes serious and tells him not to complicate things. She spent years believing they were twins, so she sees him as part of her. Shion says that Arata probably feels the same, but he is still the heir to the house and her brother. But he also wonders, how will the world see them now that they could technically marry? Meanwhile, upstairs, in the bathroom, Kotono embraces her older brother, completely unclothed.